Welcome to the Coach Dave Love Podcast with NBA shooting coach Dave Love and your host, Matt Robertson. Exploring the cutting edge of evidence-based shooting development in basketball today. From shooting form to skill acquisition to shot metrics. This is the Coach Dave Love Podcast.
Welcome to the Coach Dave Love Podcast. I am your host, Matt Robertson, and with me, as always, is our titular character, NBA shooting coach, Dave Love. Dave, what's going on?
Not much, Matt. You're going to need to explain because we did 20 seconds on this, and then I said, no, let's just save this. So explain. Well, I don't think most people know the word. I didn't know the word. I can infer its meaning, but go.
Titular is of the title. You are the title character. So to my wife for the last 3 months, I've been well, he's the titular character of the podcast. And finally she was like, stop doing that. It's like he's titular and titillating. It's, I like it. I'm into it.
Yeah. My word that my daughters and I have latched onto is it's not in the same vein as you're talking, but I enjoyed penultimate.
Great one.
And so now every time one of the three of us hears the word penultimate, we'll usually text the others. There was a good 6-month stretch at the beginning of this phase where my wife, each time she heard us reference the word, said, what does that mean? I've never heard that before. And now the girls are like, you've heard this 16 times. And every time you hear it, you say you've never heard it before. And so it's a nice little family joke that my wife is now going to kill me that I shared.
We've had this exact conversation 16 times. I love that.
And last time was the penultimate time that we had it.
Correct. I hope that this is not, we never get to a penultimate episode because that means it's coming to a close, right? So hope we never get there.
There you go.
Cheers.
Yeah. So I want to share something with you, and this will be on a more personal. We'll share our not mutual love of something, but I introduced you to the leisure clothing wear company Vuori.
Mm-hmm.
Vuori, which sponsors podcasts, by the way.
It's out there.
And I'm just saying, if they're interested, we're very, very open.
Very.
And so I've narrowed it down. I now know that at Vuori, I love the Ponto fabric. Look for the Ponto stuff. That's the stuff that's super soft, has a nice weight to it, nice stretch to it. Fantastic. Want to buy everything in the Ponto fabric. But now I need you to, and this is a Canadian group, Kit and Ace has a brushed French terry t-shirt that I'm wearing now, and they have a Henley in it as well. I'm seriously buying everything in every color, and I might just buy you one and send it to you because you're gonna just die of excitement.
I'm gonna wind you up and let you go for 30 seconds. Do your bit about t-shirt material, please.
Oh, I don't know that I have a bit about it, but what I associate as luxurious is softness. And so when I walk around a store and I feel clothing, and if it's not very soft, then I don't want to buy it. And as soon as it's very soft, it could cost $7. But I'm in my head, I'm like, ooh, luxurious. and it's probably in my shopping cart soon thereafter, assuming that I'm in a place that has shopping carts, which don't exist anymore.
Dave took me shopping when we were in Vegas, and I'm also a tactile shopper. And so it was an odd moment where we're in opposite ends of the store, just touching fabric. That was an odd time. Super quick Vuori story. I was at an event this weekend, and I don't know, do they do Dragon Boat fundraisers in Calgary? Dragon Boat?
Yep.
Yeah. I haven't done it ever, in 25 years since high school or whatever, 20 years since high school, whatever. and won the corporate event for Dragon Boat. It's been a big year for me between the over 35 championships and the Dragon Boat big year.
But we're only halfway through the year.
That's right. Anything's also the birth of my child, but let's not get crazy. One of the girls was wearing a Viore sweater, which is the same one that B bought when we were in Dallas. And anyway, I had a moment where I was just like, "Isn't this the greatest thing you've ever worn?" She was like, "Stop touching me."
They just released the Ponto T-shirt, and so I'll be heading to the Dallas Viore store sometime this week to
amazing
to check it out and likely purchase.
All right, so we got our fabric talk out of the way for the day. I love that. Dave, we were talking earlier today via text about the topic for the episode, and I think that my computer is / phone technology is listening to me, because the topic for today is how Coach Dave Love watches video. And within 2 hours, my YouTube algorithm fed me a Dave Love evaluating a video of a young shooter video, which is a fun little thing. And the video was probably somewhere between the 10 to 13-year-olds, don't know the ages. He had his foot sort of behind him, and you were talking about how your left foot, or your weak foot, not your shooting hand foot, can sometimes impact hand placement, and therefore set point, and therefore release all the way up the body. So, Dave, do you want to start with that video? Like where do you want to start with this topic of just how you watch video as a shooting coach?
Well, I don't remember that particular video, so we're not going to start with that one.
Really good.
And so I think I want to start with the most common way of watching video, which will be from the TV. Okay. And then we'll kind of go from there, because we're not going to spend very much time on this, because largely the TV angles are garbage, and that's our family's little they're poopy, even better. They're not very good, and you can't glean very much information. Like I always kind of reference when people send me bad video on Instagram, please don't waste your time, because I don't have time to reply and offer free advice on Instagram. But when they do, largely they unfortunately send the worst video, and so the first thing would be, ask yourself, where would the coach be standing if you're the player? Where would the coach be standing to try and watch? And I wouldn't, if it were you and I in a gym, I wouldn't be standing at the top of the concourse in the middle of the court looking down. I'd probably be a lot closer than that. So when you have the option, which isn't always, get close. But let's kind of go to the stuff that we'll start with the TV. If you're watching somebody from college or in the pros, or the camera that gets set up at the top of the stands in a high school game. Let's start there.
So as you're talking about, one of the things I'm thinking about is in player evaluation, the word fluidity gets thrown out a lot. And I think from that camera angle, you can sort of get a feel for the player's fluidity. Does that matter to you? Like, we've talked about funky shots in the past, but does the fluidity matter to you?
A great question. It matters if the player's young and it doesn't, they struggle to generate enough power, then fluidity will help them generate more power. But I like fluidity and rhythm, especially rhythm, I think are like overused words that mean nothing. Like those are the words that we say when we don't know what to say, especially rhythm. And this is ironic, because fluidity is actually in the title of one of my shot development systems. But so like, I'm as
didn't know what to name it.
I'm as guilty as I'm as guilty as anybody else in some of this stuff. But yeah, rhythm I think is so overused and so overvalued. Great shooters don't necessarily have great rhythm. However we define that is different for everybody. They have multiple rhythms. And it's not like what we keep is basically a microcosm of what we keep talking about on all these different podcasts. There's not one solution. Truly skilled players have multiple solutions. And so I'm not a big fan of, and I try to never use the word rhythm, especially in shooting development.
The guy I coach with had a player in high school that I would have just played against for 1 year. He's a little younger than I am, but had the most fluid, heavy air quotes, most fluid jumper. Wasn't a very good shooter. But if you just watched him, you'd be like, oh man, what a bucket. The jumper was pretty. The quote unquote rhythm was great. It was very fluid, but he wasn't a very good shooter. Anyway, I sort of answered my own question, I guess, but appreciate your look at that topic.
Yeah, and like Steph Curry, I think has a very fluid shot. Like it's maintaining, so it's easy to get tricked into. The greatest shooter of all time has a very fluid shooting motion. Okay, but who do we keep referencing as the guy that has the best shooting form? Like if you poll every coach,
the other
probably 60% are going to say Clay, and I wouldn't describe his shot as particularly fluid. And so I think that's just a word that gets thrown around that I don't see a terrible amount of value in.
Okay. So the view from the television in the stands, garbage.
Garbage.
Excuse me.
Just make it sound French.
Okay.
And so, but what I will watch for is their balance. Like I'll check, like, are they in control of their shot? You can see some of the macro things, and then I'll look for like their most common misses. You can kind of get a sense, like, do they hit front rim a lot? Are they missing left a lot? If you have multiple reps to reference, then those are the kind of things that I'll start to look for from TV video. But honestly, I don't feel like there's a ton to be learned as far as how people shoot the basketball from that far away in that angle. There's always, I'll watch it, but I don't necessarily learn a lot from it. And some of the things that I see, once I see the person in person, I'm like, oh, didn't see that. Like that shot's actually really flat. Couldn't see that in the TV video. So there's an optical illusion to that angle.
Can you tell, or do you care to tell the 3-minute story about you get hired to work with Aaron Gordon, your preparation for that, and your first workout? Do you care to tell that story, or is that kind of for another day? Okay.
Yeah, no, that's a great example of what we're talking about today. So I'm hired in July, just after Summer League of 2014, by the Orlando Magic to work with their draft pick, Aaron Gordon. And so as soon as I get the call, hang up the phone, and I go to the internet to see what I can find on Aaron. And so the first place I started was Synergy, and with an account, and just watching all of his free throws from the year. I'll usually start with the controlled environment. Like, what do they do when they're in a controlled environment? Especially the weak shooters, which was applicable in this case. And then I'll go to like the open threes. So you can filter with Synergy for the people that don't know and say, like, okay, I want to see every free throw. And I'll usually go through, I'll watch the first 10, of which you get a lot of the top of the first level, looking down on the floor, not a very good angle. I'll try and prioritize the one that show the shooting hand angle and not so much the guide hand. But after about 10, I'll start shuttling through, looking for, can I get an angle from the top of the shot clock? Can I get an angle from the opposite baseline, looking like at the back of the player? like, are there unique things, unique angles that would be much closer to where I would stand if I was with that person in the gym? So that's what I did with Aaron. And then I went on to YouTube and tried to find anything that I could find on him. So I watched every shot that I had access to of his in the week before we met, and then got in the gym and had an opinion, but didn't really see anything big from the video that I'm like, this is what's causing the guy to make 42% of his free throws. I didn't see that. Like, everything looked, all right, not bad. And then within the first shot in person, I'm like, ooh, okay, couldn't see that in the video. Was that just the first shot? Ooh, no, there it is again on the second. Well, there it is again on the third. And then trying to work my way down the chain of command to figure out, okay, what is causing this flaw that I saw? And I find that's 80% of, maybe even 90% of players. Like, I'll watch the video, but there's within 10 shots, I learn more from seeing that person in person than all of the years video combined.
So that's 10 years ago. New player doing your research. Is that still your approach? You get a call saying, hey, we're adding this guy to your caseload, whether it's a player moving up into the NBA or a player to whatever team you're working with. Synergy first, looking for the first 10 plus unique angles. Like, this is your approach even today?
Yeah. That, in fact, just for timing's sake, we're in early June. And so I'm in Dallas right now. We're starting pre-draft workouts, and so we'll have 6 guys in the gym tomorrow whom I've never met before, never seen. And tonight, my task is to I've got a list from the front office of the 3 guys that are kind of the shooting question marks, and so I'll sit down with my laptop tonight and watch video of those guys start with the free throws, and then look for the open catch and shoot threes, and usually that will give me enough of I think I'm going to be looking to confirm this, and then I'll be seeing what else is out there that I can't see in the video.
That's so fun, and I have 20 questions, but I will not get sidetracked by this. You are in Dallas. It's the NBA Finals. It's pre-draft workouts. It's all of the exciting things, but I want to stay on how you watch video. Dave, let's take a super quick break, and we're going to get back into it after this.
Hey there, basketball fans. I'm NBA shooting coach Dave Love, and I've got exciting news just for you. Introducing my exclusive, free basketball shooting newsletter. It's packed with insights and techniques straight from the hardwood. Have you ever wondered how NBA players improve their shots? Or how you could get to the next level, whether you're a college player, a coach, or a budding youth player? My newsletter brings all this and more directly to your inbox. Each edition is a deep dive into the world of basketball shooting. I'll share some of the tips and ideas that I use with my NBA clients, tailored for every level of the game. But wait, there's more. Subscribers receive exclusive monthly discounts on my online products. From training videos to personalized coaching sessions, you'll get it all for a fraction of the price. And the best part of all, it's absolutely free to join. So what are you waiting for? Elevate your game and join a community of passionate players and coaches from around the globe. Signing up is easy. Just visit CoachDaveLove.com.
Welcome back. Okay, Dave, this is an after timeout. We're going to put 24 up on the thought clock. Please give me the concise version of what we just discussed in the last segment.
I don't learn a lot from watching a television broadcast. I don't learn a lot about somebody's shooting form from a television broadcast. You learn broad strokes. That's not to say that I don't watch everything. I do. And I'll try to form opinions, but then I'll either confirm or deny those opinions or add to them more in the first 10 shots seeing them in person. And so we're going to now peel the onion a little bit more, the next layer to I start rambling. Yeah.
For the listeners on
Yeah.
Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I gave Dave the shot clock violation.
I think you technically called a 20-second timeout,
I did,
but I
sorry.
knew what you were implying from it, and you're absolutely right. It started off concise, and then
Yep.
I spiraled. So
basically,
that's all right.
broadcast video angles are not good. There is something to be gleaned, but really, you need unique angles, close angles, angles that you would be standing on the floor in the gym with this player if you were in a workout. That's the best angle.
All right, fine. If you're going to try and take my job.
Listen, you put me on the spot last week, and this is revenge is maybe the wrong word, but just a little bit of comeuppance, maybe.
I like the after timeouts, especially now that they're not. I feel like when we started doing this, I was really good for about the first 10, and then 2 of my last 5 have not been great, and so people are we're getting the reality of the situation. I started off the season hot.
It's a regression to the mean, and I think that it's become a gimmick that it's no longer a gimmick. I think it's just part of the thing, which I really enjoy.
It's part of our fabric, our luxurious soft fabric.
What a great tie-in.
That's a callback.
I just need a second.
Okay, so while you're giggling,
yeah.
I'm just going to mention one thing that I kind of forgot. When I'm watching that side video from the concourse, off the TV broadcast, I will try and check for arc. It is an optical illusion. There have been plenty of players that I've looked at the video and said, "Oh no, their arc is fine," and then seen them in person and said, "Oh no, it's not." And I'll also try and watch for the spin of the ball, and then potentially their follow through. I find follow throughs give a great indicator of where they were at the set point, and you can't always see how their hand is positioned at the set point, but the follow through can give you a little clue on that.
So from that angle, that's something that you can find some value in potentially.
Yeah, or when we dive a little deeper and we find those unique, fun, helpful angles that you might get. I'm trying to remember. I think Memphis. I've figured out which directors of the local TV feed like that angle. I think the Memphis director and the Brooklyn director. So if you're an NBA person looking for the top of shot clock for whatever team, check when you played Memphis or Brooklyn, in Memphis or Brooklyn, and prioritize those games. I think that director likes the top of shot clock view.
Shouts to that director for being valuable to the shooting coaches out there. I love that.
Yeah, I'm not a nerd. You're a nerd.
I mean, don't read the names of the books behind me. Okay, so that's kind of what you're looking for from that sense. When you have the synergy, you're just doing pre-work, watching video. What is your preferred camera angle? Tell me about, this is, I guess, where we get into the meat of it. What creates good video for you? And then we'll get to watching the video after, but give me the logistical setup of what creates good video for you as a coach.
Yeah, so I'm consulting for a couple of college programs now, which I'm really excited about. And so they're sending me video, first of all, as an introduction to the player, here's what the player does. And then once we start to get into the work, here's how it's looking. And I'll always ask I want video from the front where the bottom of the player's feet are just at the bottom of the frame, in frame, but I want to be able to see their feet. And then we're in portrait mode for the phone. And the top of the follow through would be at within the top of the frame. Get as close as you can, but I can see all of their body throughout the shooting motion. And I can't believe how many people through my video shot analysis, I get I probably do 25 to 30 video shot analysis for people per month, and I send them those instructions. Like, take video from the front, the other angles that we're going to talk about, and show me the whole body. And I'm surprised by how many people don't realize the lower body plays a role in their shot, or even the fall through. I'll get a ton of video that looks like that, where like I'll see the ball until here, and then you can't see how the ball leaves the player's hand. And so like the whole body plays a role. So I want front, I want shooting hand side, and I want behind. Like I want to the view stand right behind the shooter, maybe shaded a half step to their shooting hand side, just so we can peek over their shoulder a tiny little bit. And I honestly think the side and behind are the most valuable visuals that the front. Yeah, we can go into what I look for in each at each angle, but side and the rear are super valuable.
So that you took it out of my mouth. Like, why? What are you looking for when you're standing behind? So this is actually a perfect little moment, because you want video behind, and I've seen you stand behind a player during a workout. Like, what are you looking for?
I 9 times out of 10, maybe higher, I'm trying to peek at their index finger. Once they get to that set point, where is that index finger? Now, it's a great angle to see other things. Like, you get a better perception of the turn and the lean that may be occurring in a player's shot, and why it could be dangerous from standing behind the player. Like, you see their spine, you can see. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like that gets somewhat distorted from the front view, and you can still see it, but it's not as like obvious. But when you're standing behind the person, you're if they have a 45-degree turn, you look at it going like, why is your body pointed at the corner? And I'm sure we're going to have some people that say, well, here's why the turn is valuable. And in some cases, I would disagree. But in some cases I would agree, but in some cases I do disagree. Sorry, I got myself sidetracked there.
I like it.
Okay, so standing behind, I'm mostly watching the angle of their spine and where their hand is on the basketball as soon as it appears kind of over top of their head.
And you're looking at the index finger as the reference, or I know we've had conversation about how it's not always the ideal release point, but index finger is your reference on the back of the basketball or the bottom of the basketball.
Yeah, that's for most players, that's the middle of their grip, or should be the middle of their grip. And so I want to have that underneath the middle of the basketball. I worry way more about the set point, where the hand is on the ball at the set point, than the release. Number one, the release is really hard to see, and I think I'm really, really good at seeing it. But for the uneducated eye, like, that happens really, really fast. If you don't have a ton of reps of like seeing where a player's hand is on the ball as the ball's coming out of their hand, that happens so quickly. I use slow motion video on my phone all the time still, and I think I'm really, really good at seeing that.
But still need the aid of the slow motion, even though you're at that level with that skill.
Yeah, and I think we control the set point far more than we control the release. And so I'm more worried about, are we in the right position at the beginning of the shooting motion, at the beginning of the set point, than like the example I give all the time, Matt, like you probably shot hundreds, if not thousands of shots in your life where you thought, well, that wasn't great, but it's going to go in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it didn't come out of your hand perfectly, but your body, it's amazing how quickly your body can make little adjustments where it's just like, ugh. You don't even think about it. You don't even know what you did. You just know it wasn't quite right, but you saved it. And to me, that just shows we don't control the release very well.
I understand.
And so for me to try and fine tune this thing that we don't control very well, but we're amazing at making little adjustments that we aren't even aware of. That's wasted time. I want to control the thing that we do have a little bit more control over, the beginning of that motion that will hopefully put us in a position to cause a more consistent release. But there's always going to be variance in our release.
So you said we control the set point way more than we control the follow through. And I didn't understand what you meant in that moment, but we're in control at that moment or we can generate more control in this moment than in this one, which you can't see on the screen because I did a poor job filming.
Okay, so let me nerd out for a second.
Please.
Typically, the ball is moving at about 6 feet per second at the set point, and it's moving at 26 feet per second at release if you're shooting a 3-point shot. That's 26 feet per second is a pretty violent move. We don't have a ton of control over that. So as I'm working my way through my research, I'm pretty sure those numbers are correct, but don't fully quote me on them. Yeah, I think I'm right, but.
So you have said previously you watch a follow through, not because the follow through is like holding your follow through. Holding of the follow through is the most important thing, but it gives you a bunch of clues about what else is going on. And when you explain it to me in that way, it makes sense because you're in control to that point, and where you get to at the end is an indicator of how you got there. If that makes sense, if what I just said makes sense.
Yeah, I like the word indicator. Like your follow through, the ball's already gone. Like, why are we coaching the follow through?
Yeah, fair.
At all? The ball is out of your hand at that point, but we can use the information that we gain, like what position are you in your follow through, to glean some more information about what position were you in at the set point. Because usually a flawed follow through is a correction for being out of position at the set point. And I'll kind of work my way backwards. Like, great. Like if a thumb down shooter, they snap their wrist, a right-handed shooter snapping their wrist to the right so that their thumb is sort of below their hand. That would pull the ball back to the right. Why would they do that? Probably because they feel the ball going to the left. And so, like that, am I going to correct the follow through? No, I'm going to correct the move that caused them to be out of position, so that they had to try to make that correction. Don't fix the effect, fix the cause.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Dave, let's take one more quick break. I have a couple of questions about things you just said. Need to collect myself. Let's take a quick break and.
Hey basketball fans, Coach Dave Love here with an exclusive offer just for you, my personalized video shot analysis. Imagine having an NBA shooting coach analyze your shooting form, just like I do for the pros. That's exactly what you'll get with my video shot analysis. Here's how it works. You send me a video of your shot and I'll break it down frame by frame. I'll pinpoint your strengths and identify the areas of improvement and give you tailored advice to take your shot to the next level. You'll receive a comprehensive analysis designed just for you. Whether you're a beginner or an aspiring pro, my feedback will help you shoot with confidence and precision. It isn't just feedback, it's a game changer. With my video shot analysis, you're not just practicing, you're evolving, and every single shot counts. Ready to transform your game? Visit CoachDaveLove.com/store to learn more and get started. That's CoachDaveLove.com/store and look for video shot analysis.
And welcome back. I did not finish that thought. Thank you for bailing me out. Dave, we're going to put 24 up on the thought clock. This is an after timeout. Please get a good shot. Tell me what happened in the last segment.
Oh man. Okay, I'm fumbling we're going to work this out we're going to get a good shot, but it's not going to start out pretty. No, the ball's in bounds. Relax. I got 24 seconds. Oh God, it's blending in. So, I'm on track now. We got the ball in Luca's hands now. So I want video from the front, the shooting hand side, and behind. Those are by far the most valuable, and the last two are more valuable than the first one. Fill the frame with their body and use the slow motion feature on your camera. That's mostly what we talked about.
Great look. Driving kick, help came, corner 3, PJ Washington, buckets. Great job.
I think we did a good amount of what do I look for in the when I'm standing behind or the camera's behind the person, but I don't think we really talked about the side and the front. Can we spend a couple of minutes on those, or do you have
Absolutely
a question on what we talked about before?
Keep rolling, baby.
Okay, so the video from the side is the next most valuable to me, and what I'm looking for typically is the position of the hand on the basketball at the set point. And there's really two things that I want to see. I want to make sure that the hand is underneath and towards the back of the ball. We want to push the ball up and forward, and so our hand needs to be in the opposite position from there. It needs to be on the bottom towards the back to push it up and forward. Then I want to make sure that our elbow is still low enough to have room to generate power upwards. We don't want the elbow already sort of at our maximum shoulder flexion with our elbow already high. That's going to put us in a position where we can't generate lift, and we're getting a curving release. We also don't want to end up with our elbow like way down towards our waist where the ball is sort of at your chest or your neck level at your set point, because that's almost impossible to get your hand underneath the ball. You're going to end up with your hand on the back of the basketball. And so those are the things that I'm typically looking for. Then, like, are you in an athletic body posture? Like that from the side view, I'm looking for more arc things and starting to move quickly away from what we talked about before, like the fluidity. Like in the past, I would have taught like a straighter line, like keep the path of the ball as smooth and as straight as we possibly can, moving quickly away from that idea. Not that I want it to be jagged, but I think we're based on the research that we've done, we're way overemphasizing that, and there are as many detriments to that as there are benefits, especially for mature players.
So when you say that, you're talking about from the old triple threat position at your waist to the peak of the finish as a smooth movement is maybe not the best thing, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Potentially. Okay. I know that is another little tease of your fun little data project, but we'll get there. It's coming. It is coming. So just bear with us for another 2 to 10 months. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
It's coming. So that's really interesting, especially because that's a thing that we always thought was a potentially valuable piece of a good shooter shot. How about from the front? Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
Perfect. Exactly. Now, that's where I was going with it too. So from the front view, and this is usually the one that I get first, and is probably the most logical, but I'll start with the player's feet. Like, how far apart are they? Are they wide enough to be able to create stability when a person is especially moving laterally? And then, do they generate positive energy as the player's pushing? Like, are they either at the target or with a turn, but making the kind of movement that the player is still able to mostly push up in the air and not up and to the left as a right-handed shooter?
Two things. Seasoned listeners will have heard this maybe once before, but just for clarity's sake and for everybody else, how wide is wide enough when you talk about the width of the feet? And can you just give a quick descriptor of positive power, positive energy as well?
Yeah, so let's start with positive power. And nice work as the voice of the people there, by the way. Positive power is power that any part of your body generates that is working either at the target or straight up in the air. Those directions help us make shots, therefore they're positive. Negative energy is energy flowing any other direction. If given to the basketball and it's flowing any other direction except for at the target or straight up in the air, it's going to cause a miss. You're pushing the ball away from the target. And so we, as shooters, want to reduce negative energy so that we don't have as many variables to cancel out. And we want to create more positive energy with our habits. And so I think the first goal of the feat is to be able to stop negative energy. And where I use as a reference point, most people say shoulder width apart. And as I have said hundreds of times now, love the idea, hate the body part that we picked as the reference point. I talk about being hip width apart because you can't see your shoulders. It drives me insane that we talked about being shoulder width apart and we can't see our own freaking shoulders. Like, I want your feet back of your head distance apart. Thanks, Einstein. Like big help. Never actually used that before. That might become a common known to recycle jokes. And then I measure from the insides of feet. I want to see the feet, the insides of your shoes wide enough that you can get your hips in between your shoes.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. As the voice of the people, I just wanted to make sure. I've heard you give both of those definitions a bunch. However, we may have some new people here. So trying to balance the fluidity of the pod where we want to respect the now hundreds of people who are listening. And also if we have a new listener that we've picked up along the way, their, newbie-ness, if possible. Sure.
Yeah. And then go back and listen to previous episodes, newbies.
So much knowledge back there, most of it coming from the titular character of this podcast. I was hoping I'd get a spit take. Didn't happen. Coach Dave,
almost.
What else are you looking for when you get that front camera angle?
Typically when I do my video shot analysis for people that send in their videos for me to give some feedback, I'll give a little talk about like the hand placement at the beginning of the shooting motion, but then like it's usually not a priority. Like unless they're gripping the basketball on the side, and I'll explain why that's a complicated move. I also don't spend a ton of time on that. We're never in an ideal starting point. I think the triple threat position with the ideal hand placement is something that we should really be teaching players how to solve the problems that occur, as opposed to teaching them how to do that perfectly.
Fascinating.
But I will kind of look at it. I'll look at the path of the ball. Is it relatively smooth laterally? A relatively straight line? Do they bring the ball up the left-hand side of their body as a right-handed shooter? I see that a lot. Probably 60% of the time is a great angle to see whether you're getting your guide hand off the ball. And it's an okay angle to see where the shooting hand is under the ball at the set point. It's not I like behind better, but the view from the front is okay.
So a couple episodes ago, you called me out because I had my pen out furiously writing as you were talking. And the thing that I wrote down that we didn't really discuss was variability in lifting motion. Is that what you're talking about? Like solving that problem, getting from the classic triple threat to the peak when there's challenge in the way, whatever that looks like, whether that's a hand or a body or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And did I say this in a podcast earlier? Like, show me, or has this been in a conversation with somebody else? Show me a picture of shooter X in the perfect triple threat position with the ball close to their body and their wrist loaded, and show me a picture of them. I'll show you 500 pictures where they're not in that position.
Fair.
Like, yeah, agreed. That might be the nice thing to teach somebody if they're shooting in a vacuum. They're not. They're playing in a dynamic game. And that doesn't mean that, like, it doesn't mean I never work on it, but I bet I work on it less than 1/10 as much as what I infer other coaches are working on it, because of course I'm not actually in their workouts.
Dave, let's take one more quick break. I think we've covered most of this. I have a story that I want you to tell and a question about that story. We'll come back after this.
Nice tease, by the way.
Hey there, basketball fans. Coach Dave Love here with an exciting opportunity to revolutionize your shooting game. Introducing my exclusive shot development systems, Pure Release, Consistency and Balance, and Fluidity and Arc. Each system is designed to target key aspects of your shooting technique, transforming you into a more effective player on the court. Pure Release focuses on perfecting your shot release. Consistency and Balance enhances your stability and accuracy, and Fluidity and Arc works on your ball path and trajectory of your shot. Find out the drills and progressions that I use with my NBA players to improve these important habits. Can't decide which one to choose? No worries, grab the bundle and get all 3 systems at a fantastic value. It's a complete package to elevate every part of your shooting game. And there's a special deal for all my podcast listeners. Use the promo code PODCAST20 at checkout to save 20% on any of the shot development systems. Don't miss this chance to train like the pros. Visit CoachDaveLove.com/store and take your first step towards shooting success. That's CoachDaveLove.com/store.
Okay, Dave, welcome back. ATO, 24 on the thought clock. What did we talk about in the last segment?
Side view, really good angle to see the things that help contribute to good or bad arc. Like your hand placement on the ball and your elbow position at the set point. Front view, pretty good view to see feet and guide hand usage. And so that's what I'd be focusing on from those angles.
Man, great look. Derek Lively just got an easy oop bucket, as has happened so many times throughout this playoffs. What a delight. Well done by you. Great job by you.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay.
I'd just like to point out that I don't always have a great first quarter, but when the game matters most, my last ATOs, whew.
Just coming out firing, guns a-blazing, if we're still allowed to say that. Anyway, okay, so Dave, when you suggested this topic, or when we started talking about this topic, I had a memory flash from like the first time. I can't remember if it was the first time we met or if it was the next year when you came back to do camps, but you showed the kids a video. Actually, just before we stop this, what a shameless plug for Coach Dave Love's video shot analysis. Log into the website, check it out. Dave, don't say anything. This is coming from me. Shameless. No, it was awesome. So you had gotten some film from Victor Oladipo, whether it was that day or the day before or that week, and you had done a little sketch up video where you talked about it. First of all, that I did a very poor job of that. Tell me about getting film. What program to use to mark it up? And do you remember that particular video? Because I have a very specific memory of something you looked at from the front angle.
I remember Victor's shot. I don't remember that particular video, but I do remember his shot. So I think we could talk about it. And the program I use now, it used to be Coach's Eye. It's now OnForm, which is all one word, ONFORM.
Not a sponsor. But you could have
not a sponsor.
You can record your voice over top of the video and draw lines and kind of make diagrams, which I think is super helpful for anybody who's breaking down something in film. It's great. But do you remember the one specific issue from the front that he had with his shot at the beginning? Do you remember this?
I remember he had a big old lean to his left and almost hinged his waist to the left. Is that it?
The one thing that I remember was when he's loading his knee is coming across or back. Is that right? This is a decade ago.
Yeah, this is a decade ago. You're going to have to remind me on that one.
Anyway, it was the first time I had seen somebody use an app like this, and the first time I'd seen someone break down video like this. And it was front angle, and you were drawing lines to indicate like you should be straighter up and down on your load. And I can't remember if it was I think it was his left knee that was kind of coming in at an angle. And you were talking about that as part of the video. my first experience with this, I thought that was the coolest thing. And again, that was a decade ago, and the technology was just getting better in terms of like video and that kind of thing.
Well, I have another story along those lines where probably that same year we had Mo Harkless on the Magic, and Mo also had a significant hinge at his waist, lean left. Like his lower body was relatively vertical, but then there was like this. Most people they'll turn and lean. He was reasonably square, but just lean to the left, and I found that odd. And so I suggested it to him, and he kind of gave me a look like, "What are you talking about, old man?" And I said, like, no, like you're really leaning to your left, and I want to try and get your spine a little more straight up and down, and like just be in a more neutral body posture. And he's looking at me unconvinced. And I said, "Are you aware you lean left?" He's like, "No." And I said, and it was significant. Like it was a 30-degree lean. Like it was a lot. And so I said, well, like just imagine, or I don't know if I said this to him, but an external cue I would give now would be like, imagine stepping into a squat rack machine, like the Smith machine. Imagine stepping underneath the bar to do a squat. Like, how would you stand? And so he did that, neutral shoulders, neutral hips. And then I hand him the basketball and he leans. and he doesn't feel how that's a lean. And I said, well, okay, so try and just get your spine straight up and down. He's leaning left. Try and get your spine straight up and down. He leans to his left. Try and get your spine straight up and down. Leans to his left. Try and get your spine leaning to the right. And he goes straight up and down. And I'm like, okay, that was straight. He's like, no, that was like leaning to the right. I'm like, no, that. And he's like, Dave, I swear, I'm like leaning like this to my right. I'm like, grab my phone, hit record, said, lean to your right, showed him the video, and he burst out laughing. Like, he's like, oh my God, I feel like I am going to fall over to the right. And now I can see that straight up and down. And my almost across the board response now when players say things like that is, you're right. Like, that is what it feels like. But that's not what's actually happening. Like, validate their feelings for them. That like, you don't chastise somebody for how they're feeling. Yeah, I know it feels like you're leaning to the right. How crazy is the human body, right? Like, that's so weird. But please understand what the reality is, and video is fantastic for that.
What a lesson! First of all, to give them some validation. I think that is really important. But film doesn't lie, and feel is not real. And you told a story, time is a flat circle, 5, 7, 10 episodes ago, whatever it was, about a player who's shooting free throws with the flattest shot, and you're like, okay, if arc is a 1 to 5 and 1 is flat and 5 is a sky ball, like shoot a 5 for me, and they shoot a 3 for you, which is where you want them in the first place. Feel is not necessarily real, but what a gift for a coach to be able to take out their little, I don't even know how many megapixels the cameras are now. I said I found 100, but what a gift to be able to show them that what you feel maybe isn't necessarily the thing that is happening.
And then do this for yourself as well. Like, I have 2 moves, because I'm now very old and I don't shoot very much anymore, if hardly at all. And I have 2 moves in my own shot. I know I make them now because I've seen enough video, but I can't feel it. Like, my hips come way forward, my shoulders go back. I can't feel it. And it feels really weird for me to stay sort of shoulders over top of knees, because shoulders going back over top of hips, because I'm so freaking old and weak, feels pretty natural. And Gentle. Then like my fingers aren't along the target line unless I'm very deliberate about it, because again, inflexible and 800 years old. Or it feels like it when I wake up in the morning. But and then the other thing is like golf lesson. I took golf lessons. Oh, it's probably 15 years ago now, but like I had a big old block slice, like blocked it out to the right and it sliced, and I couldn't get anything to not go right. So I finally got frustrated enough to take a series of 5 lessons from probably the best teacher I've ever had. Clayton, dang it, forget his name. Clayton, I think he passed away about 10 years ago, unfortunately, but like great teacher. And so I described to him, I miss it. I'm blocking everything off to the right. And he watches me take about 5 swings. And he says, of course you are. Your club face is aiming to the right. I'm like, no, it's not. And he takes my club face as I address a ball and he turns it. He says, that's square. And I said, no, that's not. That's closed. And he's like, take a swing. I'm like, no, because the ball's going to hit me in my left shin. I'm not taking a swing. Like, he's like, no, just take a swing. And I take a swing and the ball goes dead straight. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I address the ball again. And I'm like, so my club face is square. He's like, no, that's open. That's square. I'm like, no, that's not. That's closed. Take a swing. Ball goes dead straight. And it took me 2 weeks to get through this feels like it's going to go way left. Why? Because I'm so used to the move that causes it to go way right. I had exactly Mo Harkless's thing in a golf context. So my point, do this to yourself so that you know what the players are feeling and you can empathize with them about what they're feeling because you've gone through that recently yourself and you're not just the jerk who's telling them to do it differently.
Shout out Mo Harkless, stat stuffer, Swiss Army knife, fantasy. I can't remember what my team name was that year. Something probably maybe a little graphic, but big Mo Harkless guy. One of my favorite gimmicks on another podcast is they like on the fade out, they mention underappreciated NBA players of eras past. And that's a funny thing. Coach Dave, is there anything else in this subject that you want to touch? I feel like we've, again, gone an hour or whatever the time is right now.
Yeah, we're at 53 minutes plus commercials. Yeah, no, I think we're magical. I think the big takeaway is Viore should sponsor us. And honestly, people that like this is not a plug. Viore's Ponto material, or this is a plug, but it's not a sponsored one. And if you're Canadian, Kit and Ace brushed French terry or BFT. Yeah, BFT. Matt, I'm buying you one. What size are you?
I'm a large.
You're large. Okay. Black. Will black be in high rotation?
It will be in high rotation if it's soft and luxurious feeling.
Yeah. So it's better than the Viore. Ooh, if I'm asking Viore to sponsor us, I better not say
easy.
That. It's as soft or softer than the Viore stuff. I'm a little tired. I've been up since 4:00 this morning.
This has been Cotton Variants with Matt and Dave. Tune in next week. Dave, you're the best. Okay. Tell the people real quick where they can find you on the internet.
CoachDaveLove.com. Sign up for my newsletter. I'll send you a bunch of free information. That's also where you can get a video shot analysis if you would like one yourself. And on the socials at Coach Dave, or not at, I guess it is at Coach Dave Love. Very old.
Crushed
very tired,
it.
Very old.
Just doing great, buddy. And I am at Coach Matty Rob on Twitter /X. And also I joked in like 3 or 4 episodes that I'm only on LinkedIn, and a bunch of people have found me on that. So that's a funny thing. Track me down. If you have questions, fire it up. Viore, if you're looking to sponsor, you could reach out to both of us. Thanks very much for tuning in. As always, appreciate your time. Please like, subscribe, review. It helps a ton. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Coach Dave Love Podcast. To stay up to date with our future episodes, please remember to hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to sign up for Coach Love's free shooting newsletter on CoachDaveLove.com And be sure to follow him on social media. You can find him at Coach Dave Love.